Welcome to Sitter Confessional, an open and honest discussion about life as a pet sitter. Today, we're brought to you by our friends at Time to Pet and the National Association of Professional Pet Sitters. Today, we are really excited to have the president of the Feline Veterinary Medical Association, Dr. Ashlie Saffire, on the show to talk cat care and helping to bridge the gap between the pet sitting world and the veterinary world and everything in between. Dr. Saffire, I'm super excited again to have you on and to cover these topics. For those who aren't familiar with you or your association, could you please tell us a little bit more about yourself?
I am a feline specialist, so boarded in feline medicine. I practice in a clinic that I own with my husband in Columbus, Ohio. I have been a feline veterinarian for almost a decade now, graduated from the Ohio State and decided I actually was equine initially, so kind of a funny change to go from horses to cats, but decided my calling was actually these little misunderstood cat patients, and it's been the best thing I ever could have done. And currently, in addition to working at my practice and seeing patients, I do a lot of research on the side. I love just trying to progress feline medicine in any way that I can. I do a lot of teaching and speaking at conferences. It's one of my favorite things to share what I've learned along the way with others. And then also am now the current president of the Feline VMA. So just another way that I can help.
I love that. And now you made the switch from equine to feline. What got you into the veterinary field to begin with?
Horses. I was a horse girl growing up for sure. So I definitely always loved animals. And, like probably the same story for most veterinarians that, you grow up with pets of your own, you just love them. And some people can handle, or, there's the squeamish side of medicine that I apparently was okay with. And then others go other tracks like pet sitting and caretaking in other ways. But yeah, I wanted to definitely pursue a career and ended up going through vet school, pretty convinced I was going to continue with the horse path, and then decided that maybe that wasn't quite right for me. So I went out and explored other options and then just gravitated towards cats over time. So.
Well, that's nice that you had that opportunity to go and kind of see other fields and other perspectives, right? To kind of decide exactly where you want to land on.
That's true. That is true too. It's nice to have that experience so I don't look back and regret that I didn't try pretty much everything. So.
Right. Well, now the Feline Veterinary Medical Association, what would love for you to talk about its history and mission and kind of how it's helping the field.
Yeah, so the Feline Veterinary Medical Association is an organization that really is the leaders in feline health and well-being for both the veterinary community as far as professionals go, so veterinarians, technical staff, anybody involved from the vet practice side, but also the cat caregivers. And so their mission is really supporting the members of the organization by constantly improving health and well-being for cats. And they do that through high standards of practice, so creating guidelines and position statements, offering continuing education and all evidence-based medicine. So it's really quite an organization that is internationally known. We have members from all over the world. We have really just reached everywhere, which is pretty incredible, actually.
And you all went through a recent rebrand, right? Why was that important?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So our previous name was the American Association of Feline Practitioners, which we were 50 years ago when our organization had basically been born. And when we were looking at what the next 50 years were going to look like this past year, we all sat down and talked about, where we want to be, where do we want to go, who do we want to be a part of this organization, and we really felt that the name practitioners was very limiting. Most people assumed that meant veterinarians, when really we service everybody. We represent feline medicine for all, including caregivers. And so it took actually quite some time looking at focus groups and speaking with different people and surveys and trying to find out what would best represent us and just where we wanted to go the next 50 years. And we all landed on the decision to change our name, update our logo. So we decided putting cats first is why we have the word feline first, and then Veterinary Medical Association, which includes our technician members, our CSR assistants, practice managers, and our veterinarians. So includes everybody. And then we also have tons of resources for our pet parents as well.
I really like how you basically kind of reaching your arms wider, just a little bit
Yeah.
wider, and I see that across different disciplines in the pet care world of going, there's a whole lot more people who need this information and who we can help and who we can bring into this. 50 years, that's a long time for an association to really be around. Why was it important for you just personally to be involved and lead the helm here?
Yeah, I mean, so like I told you, I love teaching. I do some classes for Ohio State for their feline electives and speak to the feline club. And I speak at conferences for veterinary medical associations around the country. It's one of my favorite things. And so I really started doing a little bit more teaching. I was very confident at that point in my career with the experience that I've had and just, being a specialist that I really wanted to take the next step. And the Feline VMA I had been a member of for several years and was watching what they were doing and decided to apply as an intern to kind of see what like leadership medicine was about, because a lot of what I was doing was sharing knowledge and teaching. And so I spent some time as an intern on the board. Actually, it ended up being during COVID. So I had a year of mostly Zoom meetings, which can be challenging sometimes, to get to know people from all over the country. And actually we had people in different countries as well on the board. And but then once that was over and I actually got to meet people in real life, it was so addicting being around so many people who were driven and just wanted to better feline medicine. And I felt like for me, it was the perfect time in my career just because I had enough experience. I felt like I could bring something to the table. And I had others on the board who believed in me and supported me joining. And here I am. And it's crazy to think that I'm the current president, because I always thought about like definitely holding a role at some point. I didn't think it would be president yet, but it actually has been a great experience. And I do feel like being in practice and where I'm at in my career, I have been able to contribute quite a bit. So it's been pleasantly surprising and an awesome experience, really.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot of those worlds colliding all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You get to go, hey, I have experience in this teaching, in this education, and in
Mm-hmm.
my practice, and so I'm actually implementing a lot of these things and seeing
Yep.
where the field is leading to go. Well, I can really contribute, and especially to have other board members, right, who are surround you and to have that team like that. That must be really wonderful.
It is. And just seeing everybody have the same passion and all support each other, it's been pretty neat. It's something I always encourage, like every feline practitioner or a general practitioner or anybody who's interested in feline medicine who wants to get involved. Like, it's such a great organization to join. Even technicians and anybody really in the field there's a place for you with Feline BMA. It's pretty awesome.
I think it really is important to be connected to a group right around that common interest, and especially even more than that, even more than the interest, a common goal in seeing everybody get better and going, how can we come together and make the field as good as it can be, right? And really, pushing that forward together.
Yeah. And I mean, right now, I feel like feline medicine is just exploding. I mean, there are companies investing in feline medicine on all sides, from research and clinical therapeutics to diagnostics. And so it's such a great time to be in this field and really help propel it. So it's an awesome time right now. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that, because from on our side, from the pet care side, we see the demand for cat specific care going through the roof. The number of cat specific and cat only companies has grown in the last 3 to 5 years. I know when, like, just in our personal business, when we look back at last year and, crunch the numbers and see what service grew and where, it's like, oh man, cat people came out of the woodwork. Like, they were really, they're demanding this. They're looking for a high quality service that maybe they weren't a little while ago. Why do you think that there is this sudden interest and surge across all these things?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think that a lot of it is we now have more evidence on what cats need. We understand behavior so much better. There has really been an explosion in people putting out published literature and behaviorists and feline practitioners who are sharing that knowledge. And because we're understanding the cat more, we understand what they need. And so the cat friendly practice program was developed about a decade ago. And that was through the Feline VMA and in conjunction with ISFM, which was an international organization, and they really created this global initiative to change the way people practice with cats. And they really put together this program to teach you how to create an environment that was safe for a cat, calming for a cat, let the cat feel more comfortable, secure. And because of that, then, and these are things you do in your practice, which then creates a better environment. And we're starting to learn, how to better care for them. And so I think with that, it fixes some of those issues of, people didn't take their cats to the vet because it was a very scary experience,
Yeah. I mean, 10 years ago, when we were kind of just getting started in our business, the number of clients who'd say, "Oh, I'm going away for a week. Can you pop in like once for my cat?
Right.
I've got a big bowl of food. I'm putting out 3 or 4 more litter boxes. It's okay." Like, that's completely gone.
Oh, yeah.
And the number of clients are going, "Hey, actually, I don't want just one visit a day. Can I have 3? And can they all be hour long so you can sit and play, cat
and
TV
stay time
on
with
YouTube
them?
for?"
Oh, I love it. Well, right. And like that, I think there was a big misconception for a long time that the cats are the easy species. Like, oh, you want an easy pet? Go get a cat. Like, no, if you want an easy pet, go get a hamster. Cats actually are a lot harder to care for than dogs. I mean, dogs are the easy one. They just have to go outside, go for a walk. They're happy as a clam. Cats, like, you need enrichment. You need your cat videos. You need to play with them. You need to feed them special ways, right? Like, there's so much more involved. So people are finally figuring that out.
Yeah, we called them for a long time. They were the also and. It was the, hey, I need, here's my dog. And then I'd be standing there talking to the client, and the cat would kind of walk across the couch and be like, what about that one? And they go, oh yeah, the cat. It goes, they'll be fine. And just to know that, like, this is really where a lot of the power of client and community education comes in, and going, this is how we raise the bar. It's in educating people, the putting the effort into the research to go, here's where the needs actually lie, and here's how we can give them the best life possible. And so from your perspective, I know you're doing research, and from your own practice and from the work that you're doing, what I did want to ask just some cat care stuff as well, because a lot of pet sitters, they focus on dogs only, and they then go, well, I need to educate myself on cats. So from your perspective, from what you see, what are some of the more common health issues that pet sitters should really be aware of when taking care of cats?
Question. So I think number one is probably stress and anxiety. Cats are creatures of habit, and they like routines. And when their routines are disrupted, we start to see health issues. Big one is bladder disease. We see lower urinary tract disease. And, that's something that happens. We see it just with changes in schedule. Like this week, I've had several cats coming in with urinary signs because it was spring break here. So everybody's home from school, and the cats are like, oh my gosh, why are there's kids here that shouldn't be here during the day when I take my naps? It's setting everybody off, right? And so routine is huge. And that's something that we'll probably touch on here in a minute, but keeping routines the same, because anytime there's that change, now my mom or dad's not here, my family's gone, I don't have that interaction. Maybe I love being groomed all the time and I'm not getting that. So that's one big thing. Also, they stop eating. We can see cats stop eating, right? Like they're stressed out. Maybe they're social eaters, and now we're just leaving food out and nobody's there to sit with them and eat. Or maybe they don't want to eat a whole bowl of food. They like small amounts fed frequently, which is more natural feeding. But when you have a pet, or you're out of town and you have a pet sitter stopping by once a day, just keeping the bowl full, that may not be helpful either. So those are probably the two big ones that we see. Because otherwise, ideally they're not getting into things and getting foreign bodies. I think that'd probably be more a dog problem I'd be worried about. But for cats, they don't tend to typically chew on things they shouldn't. But if they're bored and it's a young 1-year-old cat and he's like, where is everybody? He may start climbing into things, getting into things. We could see some trouble there too. So,
have you heard of Time to Pet? Susan, the pet gal, has this to say.
Time to Pet has helped us grow exponentially. We believe the platform's features make us by far more professional than other companies who use conventional dashboards. They are the software gurus constantly developing and improving the platform based on user feedback. This decision was a good one.
If you're looking for new pet sitting software, give Time to Pet a try. Listeners of our show will save 50% off your first 3 months by visiting timetopet.com/confessional. Yeah, so there's that harm from kind of boredom or just generalizing, anxiety, pacing and looking versus the overall just stress and anxiety and the impact that has on their body. What are some signs of stress, right, that we should be on the lookout for when we're over at visits?
Yeah, so one big one would be, of course, the cat is hiding and it doesn't come out. You can't find it. Another would be if you see house soiling or you see any signs of blood in the urine. Cats who are stressed, the bladder tends to be a stress organ for them. So we will see when a cat is stressed and anxious and has some anxiety issues, they can have what's called cystitis, which is inflammation of the bladder. And that often manifests as difficulty urinating, blood in the urine. So they may see, I've had some situations where a pet sitter has brought a cat in because there's blood in the bathtub. They start house soiling and it's bloody. That's a big one. Of course, not eating anything. If that cat's not eating its food, they're just hiding under the bed the whole time that the family is gone. That can be a problem too.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is incumbent then to ask some of those good questions up front. When I clean the litter box, what do you usually see, right? What would I expect whenever I clean this litter box? If they do have accidents, where should I be looking for these in the house so that we are getting just one more step ahead of them? Because if we have in our mind of stress is the biggest thing that I need to be on the lookout for, we go, okay, back out from there. And what other questions do I need to have so that I'm staying up to date and I'm getting ahead of really where these issues are going to come?
Yeah, exactly. And then really, I think for the pet sitter side is really asking before they take these jobs on, what are the things that these cats enjoy? What do they enjoy grooming? Do they enjoy being pet? Because some cats don't like being groomed at all, but for some, it's a really important thing for them. Meet and greets are always great to have a pet sitter come and spend time with the family present so that they've gotten used to them. Playtime is huge. Like if they're a cat that does enjoy playtime, making sure they're designating time for that, and ideally sticking to like as close to the routine that cat knows as possible. So if the pet parents always play with them at night, 15 minutes or so before bedtime, they do treat tossing, or maybe they do like a fishing pole toy, trying to do those same activities close to that same time so that cat still feels like his routine is the same. I think another like thing would be pheromone therapy. So a lot of people don't think about pheromones, and pheromones actually have quite a bit of research behind them. And so putting pheromones in your home, that they come as diffusers, they come as like standalone containers now where it diffuses a calming pheromone into the air. And so that can be really helpful for the cat to just feel comfortable and less stressed when the family leaves. But they actually make sprays as well. And like as a veterinarian, I'll spray my lab coat before I go into a feline exam because it's a calming feeling. So same thing, a pet sitter could do the exact same thing. They could spray themselves off, especially if they have a dog at home, right? They come into this house smelling like a dog. The cat's going to be like, oh gosh, the dog person's here again, So like we want to make sure we're giving them those calming pheromones, and we go into the house and the cat might be more likely to come out from under the bed or come and say hello, things like that.
Yeah, I know for us, we may have a day, back to back of nothing but dogs, and then we get a cat visit, and it's like, okay, I need to be really aware of what I'm bringing into this house, right? And knowing those calming pheromones, those sprays are really a lifesaver in a lot of cases, because it's like I need to make sure I leave all that else at the door, and I need to be coming in as amenable as possible, because what I bring in and how I bring it in and what I do is all going to, impact the kind of interaction that I have with this cat.
Yep. Well, even the behaviors, like from a human coming into the house, like for a dog, you're like, hi, Fluffy, yeah, so good to see you, right? But then a cat, you want the total opposite. Like she'd be very quiet, calming, don't wear very strong perfumes, smell like dogs. You should, like one of the big things that I always tell veterinarians too, same thing for a physical exam is, and this sounds ridiculous, but it's amazing and actually works, is when you're looking and communicating to a cat, you really want to have very non-threatening body language. And so one of the big things is you never want to stare a cat directly in the eyes. If you do, like what you want to do ideally is very slowly blink so that you're showing the cat that you're not a threat, ideally even turning your body away from them a little bit. So if you become very unthreatening and you're showing them that you are submissive basically to them, they are so much more likely to come out and investigate you. But if you stare at them with, and don't blink and look at them directly in the eye and you look aggressive, like there's no way you're not going to win them over. So just even the way you come in the door can make a huge difference.
And I really do appreciate how you mentioned to ask the client like what their routine is, because you find so much information about that. And from a pet sitter's perspective, a lot of times the motivation of the owner is, well, I don't want to bother you. So don't worry about playtime. Don't just do feeding and leave. And it's like, well, no, like don't just tell me what you do, but when do you do it? And because we'll have clients who reach out to us and they'll say, well, I usually feed at 7 in the morning and at 8 at night, but you can just come over at 1 and feed a little bit of extra food. And we've had to go, well, no, that's fine. Let's keep this routine, because then they don't have this, because we don't want them to, gorge themselves and overeat or quickly eat and, have all this other things that are thrown off in their schedule. And taking that little bit of time to educate why it's important to the client to keep that routine really goes a long way also to just building trust with them.
Say that too from like the pet sitter's perspective, because I recognize pet sitters as like, the reason you guys are doing this is because you care so much about them and you want to be there for them when their families are away. And I just feel like that is such a huge, for me as a veterinarian, like I 100% prefer cats anyways to stay at home in their safe environment and have somebody who cares about them coming in and visiting them. And like, that is that's why you guys do this. And you're right. Like, we have to try to keep their routines as close as possible. And that's what's going to make ultimately a very successful pet sitter, is allowing them to do that for your cat and be there for them. Because at a boarding facility, they're not going to get that. I mean, they're going to be in a kennel and probably not get played with. They don't get to stretch their legs, do anything. And they're going to get fed when the kennel staff feeds twice a day,
Yeah.
So
yeah. And just having that conversation, because I know there's still a lot of work on that front for people to understand, the necessity of that, and going, no, this is really where the power of routine come in of the health and well-being and the life that your pet's going to lead. And you trying to limit the amount of, because, we know stress is so impactful to bodies and to cats, and going, we don't want, especially if our clients are leaving for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's like, okay, like this stress can really stack up over time and lead to a lot of complications later.
You can even see things like, so stress is a great trigger for herpes virus, and a lot of cats carry herpes virus. And so now you've got respiratory disease breaking out, and now they're, they feel sick from that. So yeah, 100%. So anything you can do to reduce stress. And I will say, like, I worked in a practice for several years who did boarding for cats, and, seeing them lined up in kennels, very stressed. Half the time the cats wouldn't eat. They had to go on appetite stimulants. It was very stressful for them. And a lot of these patients, we would recommend pet sitting and would arrange for them to have a house sitting situation. And it was amazing the difference that they would be just fine and would eat really well. They did great. So it is so important. Now, obviously there's medical conditions and things, but that's also too where, like, for me, and maybe you're going to ask this question, but, I have several of my staff members that will do pet sitting. And I love it because some of them are not even, trained nurses, they're assistants, but they've been, taught how to administer medications and to administer injections, sub-Q fluids, all those things that are such a great skill to have as a pet sitter, that you can then go into the home and give those pet parents peace of mind that, half the time they're probably boarding is because they're worried they're not going to get their meds. And so this is a great way to make sure that the pet is still getting their medications, but they're in a home environment. And I think that's where having a relationship with a veterinarian as a pet sitter would be a fantastic idea.
Well, yeah. So let's talk about that, because, many times we'll say, and as a pet sitter, it's like, okay, I want to go out and build relationships and get integrated into the community and find partnerships. From your perspective, what can pet sitters do, or just a pet sitter do to help build a strong relationship with a veterinarian?
Yeah, I think what they should do is, probably most of them have pets of their own, I would imagine. So they probably already have a veterinary clinic that they're affiliated with. So that's a great place to start, and meet with your veterinarian on the side, not as an appointment with your pet, but ask if you could come in and, stop by and just chat about what you do and how you'd like to offer service to your pets. I mean, a lot of us veterinarians don't offer boarding. If they do, we don't really like it. It's a hard business to have, and it can be stressful. And so it's something where having that person in your town or area that can help you facilitate making sure that your pets are in safe environments is such a great relationship to have. That's the first place to start. But even just going into these clinics and saying, hi, I'm in your area, I would love to pet sit for your patients. Do you have any pet sitters that you're affiliated with, that kind of stuff. I do think, though, the question that would probably come up, and this would be mine personally, would be, well, what certifications do you have? Like, what is your experience? And everybody has to start somewhere. And I think for cats specifically, something that's super important for me would be doing the cat friendly certificate program. which is offered through the Feline VMA. That is a program where there's different levels. There's veterinary level, but even caregiver level, and like a pet sitter would be a perfect, or groomer, perfect example of the advocate role. But you basically take 4 modules that teach you all about feline behavior. So you understand their behavior, you understand what their stressors are. It goes through a lot of basic feline care and gives you that extra knowledge to be able to, know when something is wrong when you're pet sitting, and take your pet sitting to the next level. And I think that would be really important for me as a veterinarian, that if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I have my certificate," absolutely 100%, man. So.
Okay. So just bringing in donuts, that's not going to do it. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Donuts are also great. Coffee,
Sure. But don't just rely on that. I think that is really important, in that, we can often forget that these kind of referrals or relationships, the veterinarian is in a lot of cases putting their reputation on the line when they give somebody a name and they say, "Hey, go check out so-and-so pet sitting." Like, that is a reflection on their own values and what they see. So coming in knowing that they're going to want to see some stuff, and not just like, "Hey, I'm, kind of shucking and jiving here, and I just have some business cards." They coming in, being able to walk through some of those things, have the legitimacy behind that. Sounds like that, that is really important here.
Take the initiative as a pet sitter, and you're saying that, like, I want to do best and I'm going to get myself this certificate, that also, like, you don't even know what kind of like ricochet effect that could have, because you could go to a veterinary clinic and they're like, "Wait, I'm sorry, what is the cat friendly certificate?" And then because that's still, not everybody knows about this. We have about 15,000 veterinary professionals who have their certificate right now, worldwide, which is pretty awesome. But it's something that veterinarian might be like, "What is that? I've never heard of that." They look into it and now they're like, "Whoa, there's a veterinary program. I should do that." And so you could even have a positive effect on the veterinary industry too, just by being, promoter of something like that.
Yeah, to be able to have that conversation about what are you doing, right? And that's a good reminder too, of just sharing, right, about who you are, where you're coming from, and kind of your goals there. Like, that's just as a human level, right? That's a kind of a great connection and relationship to have.
Yeah, and that everybody who goes to a vet clinic has a pet, right? And everybody who has a pet at some point has to go on vacation. And so, what a great resource to have! Hey, we know a pet sitter. We have someone. You might be sorry if you go to too many vet clinics, because you might get more business than you intended on having. But
Well,
but it could be a great resource.
So I was curious, kind of with your own personal practice, your relationship with pet sitters, and kind of the partnerships that you have with that.
Yeah, I actually have been lucky enough to know a lot of veterinary staff who does pet sitting on the side. One of our assistants started her own business, and it really pretty much it took off. And so she's quite busy on she comes to work part-time, and then she does her pet sitting when she's not at work.
Wow.
And it's been a blessing to have someone like that, because of course then people know they have that affiliation with the vet clinic. So if something happens, she's able to notify us or bring the cat or dog in or whatever. But I also have other technicians that have maybe left the veterinary medical field and have gone into pet sitting. There's a couple of apps out there now that is pretty cool, that you can kind of like Sitting Made Simple. We have kids, so we use that all the time to find a babysitter, and this is a great way too to find a pet sitter. But I've had a lot of my own staff that does it, but they can never even cover the amount of need that we have. So gosh, if I had some outside pet sitters that we could have a relationship with, I would love that.
Yeah, and just having that, again, this everybody has the best interests at heart here, and
Right.
for you knowing, okay, well, I have staff here, so I know their background, and you even mentioned before, especially when it comes into the medications and the sub Qs, and all of a sudden we're doing post-op monitoring, we're doing all stuff, like, okay, like there's this whole side of this that requires that special training and attention here that a lot of people really look for, and there's such a need for that kind of thing too.
Brilliant. And it's nice for me. Like, I feel so comfortable knowing that I have a cat who's being pet sit. That is, if anything happens, I know they're being watched. And that's also something too, that we have a lot of our clients who will give us the contact information for their pet sitters and notify us when they're going out of town. And they'll say, if anything happens, this is our pet sitter. And we always tell them, like, please have them call. Like, don't hesitate to ever call me. If something comes up, even if they just have a question, and that's where, again, having that relationship's not a bad thing, where I know, X so-and-so pet sitters, and And I know if they call me, like, I know this patient obviously, and I'm more than happy to answer questions over the phone, before they feel that they need to bring them in. But again, just having that relationship.
That really helps, right? Especially if a client's going to be out for a long period of time, or their cat has a known health condition, right? That's
Right.
actively being
Absolutely.
managed and monitored, going, okay, no, we really need to be all on the same team and on the same page here, but and how to move forward and what we're looking for.
Absolutely. I've even had appointments where people have brought in somebody who was going to be pet sitting for like a chronic kidney disease cat who needed sub-Q fluids, and they learned how to give sub-Q fluids with us in an appointment. So those are great things and great skills to have as a pet sitter for sure.
Are you a passionate pet sitter or dedicated dog walker looking to take your career to the next level? Join the National Association of Professional Pet Sitters, or NAPS, the leading organization dedicated to elevating pet care. With industry resources, ongoing education, and a network of like-minded experts, NAPS empowers you to shine. Whether you're expanding your business or building new client relationships, their community is here to support you at every step of the way. Visit petsitters.org today to learn more and join the movement. Take the leap and let your career flourish. NAPS, where pet care meets excellence. But what other recommendations do you have for pet sitters to make sure that we stay aligned with care plans, or these managed pets, these medically managed pets?
Yeah, I think open communication is huge. If you're not comfortable administering medications and stuff, I think that's totally understandable. The good thing is, like, there's a lot of options for medicating pets, and so maybe the pet parent's really good at pilling their cat every single day, but you come in as a pet sitter and you're like, I don't know if I can do this, or you try a couple times and it's not working. And so those are big, I think a big thing right there is just being honest and being like, maybe I don't have a ton of skill with medicating. And then we have some backup plans that maybe the pet parent can talk to me about as the vet. What happens if my pet sitter can't get meds in? I've had times where I've switched, I had them order transdermal medicine where it's a cream and they just have to rub it on the cat's ear for those 2 weeks while the pet parent is gone, so that we don't even have to worry about the pet sitter getting, the meds in the cat. So those are really awesome, people planning ahead of time things. But
Yeah, no, you mentioned the backup medication, because we get that a lot too. Of my cat loves the pills. She takes them so easily, and I always wait for them to finish. And I go, okay, but what happens if she doesn't for me, right? And this going, we just need to have, and right, they can compound it differently. They can make it, into paste. There's so much that now, like, we've done a lot of just with compounding it into a paste to do a lickable mat for them, and adding stuff to it instead of you really don't know until you ask. And now you've got other tools in your toolbox to recommend the next time things happen, or just that simple question of, okay, but what is our backup plan? That is so huge and will save you so much headache.
And then too, like, having that phone number to the clinic in case they can't medicate, they can give us a call while you're out of town and be like, hey, what other ways or recommendations do you have? I think another thing too that I want to just remember to say is, like, a great way for the pet sitters to be an advocate for the pets that they're watching is making sure and, like, encouraging the pet parents to bring these cats in, make sure they've, like, had a recent physical examination. Are they up to date on vaccines, right? Like, you guys have to protect yourselves as well. And cats bite. They do sometimes when they're scared, and, it's not fun when somebody gets bit by a cat that hasn't had a rabies vaccine or a physical exam in several years. And so I think you guys could be such a great advocate for these pets to make sure they're getting in and getting that updated exam, that they're healthy enough to be left alone for a while. And that's a huge advantage that you have, because a lot of times they listen, people listen to other leaders in the field. And I would consider you guys very knowledgeable when it comes to caring for pets. So that's a huge way to be a teammate for us too,
Yeah, well, and it helps make sure that cat, like you said, is healthy for this, because if we're just going to accept that there's going to be a little bit of stress induced with this change, right? Anytime we make a change, there's going to be stress. What we want to do is make sure that we have a good understanding of the baseline, so that as things change, we know kind of where they're headed and what direction's going. Because you're right, like, pet sitters, we often forget that it's like, well, this cat may see the vet once a year, maybe twice, if they're really staying on top of it, they got medications, every couple months, maybe. If we're seeing them for weeks on end, for every couple months, like, there's a lot of influence and recommendations where you can say, hey, I really, I'm not sure when the last time it was where you took, Snowflake in, but I really think it'd be great if she went in for your next big trip, because you're going to be gone for a month. And I think maybe it's time that we do that for her then. And just putting that out there. And if they don't have a good relationship with their veterinary care team, giving them some recommendations for the area to go try out too.
And that's huge, again, with that partnership of like, you guys are referring patients to us. We're referring patients to be pet sit by you guys. And it's that really nice relationship. And it's all like, at the end of the day, we're all doing it for the better of the cats and the dogs, right? Like, we want them to have veterinary care and be safe and happy. So when their families come home, they're happy and, healthy still. So it's just great in general for, again, just getting, especially cats. I mean, because that's why I'm here today for you, is just, they're so underserved, right? And like, they don't get the vet care that they need. And you guys are in the homes potentially way more than we see them. So absolutely.
Well, as we continue to think about, our cat and our feline specific care, a lot of us send specific, we send reports. We'll say, hey, it was over today and XYZ happened. From your perspective, what are things that you think we should be including more of or talking more about in our visit reports to our clients?
That's great. I think that's definitely how they're eating. If they're obviously on medications, have they been able to be medicated? Are they out and about? Or are they hiding? I think these are all like feedback things that could always come back to make the next time you're there better. Like, if they were hiding the whole time, well, what could we do differently next time? Does that mean maybe we do more pheromone therapy for them, or maybe more introductions, like when the pet parent's home, that you can be there and pet them and they get to know you. Special treats and things that they like. But I definitely know, for peace of mind, like, it's always nice having a picture of the cat. Like, no, I have my own cats that get pet sit, and I love it when they show me a picture of them either at the food dish eating, or just a picture that they're there, they've seen them, they're alive, they're okay. So just any update, I think, is awesome, really, in any capacity. But definitely, if they continue to hide, like, we want to make sure that we don't avoid that issue. And we certainly say, you know what, I didn't get to see him again today, he didn't come out. Then we need to figure out what is that reason and how can we help that cat next time.
Yeah, you mentioned the picture of the cat eating. Like the most powerful photo I think we can send is of the cat eating. Like, it's just it's a concern that the owners have. It's a thing that we need to be tracking. Like, how are they eating? It's not just are they eating, but how much did they consume, while we were there versus over, when we left, that, again, getting back to that social eating versus not social eating, and going it's just such a simple photo to get that really instills a lot of confidence and value to the client. And then, yes, now you have eyes on them and okay, here, I found them, and are they coming out? And that takes a little bit of prep too, of going, is your cat usually really social? Or are they more hide? Because, cat owners, they're going to know. Now, my cat always hides. Not to say that we don't go try and find them in their hiding locations to get eyes and try and hands on them as they're, as they're comfortable, because you don't want to just say, oh, I didn't see the cat. Well, anyway, let me just finish up.
Yeah. And like you said, like the eating thing too. I mean, if you just fill a dish once a day and just leave it full, like, we have no idea how much that cat is eating. So kind of like, if they can get out there at least more than once where they're measuring what you're putting in the bowl, so how much the cat is consuming. Because sometimes it looks like they ate and they actually did not really eat anything. So, that can be really helpful too.
Yeah, all they did was basically push the food around in the bowl.
Nothing was actually consumed. Mm-hmm.
Right. So those free feed cats, like, that's a whole other thing of going, well, let me, instead of just kind of topping off periodically, let me start with a whole fresh bowl, right? Let me I'll measure one full cup in. And now, before I add more food, I can pour that bowl back into the cup. I've got it measured. And now I can really say for certainty how this is going.
Because there are things we can give them then the next time. Like, if we know the cat isn't a great eater when mom and dad's out of town, like, what can we do? And we have things, little appetite motivators and things that we can use to help them. So to make sure that they continue to eat while the family's away.
Yeah, because we want to make sure that it's not just going, okay, did I get my tasks done? Right. And I think too often we can fall into that of going, well, I have a checkbox of scoop litter, refresh water, make sure that the food's topped off, and that I've, I tidied up a little bit. Okay, those are tasks, but we're talking about relationship and livelihood, like thriving. Are we really thriving through this? And doing that problem solving of going, okay, well, this didn't quite turn out. Let me do some brainstorming. Let me talk to the veterinary care team and figure out what we need to do next time. Because that's really so powerful.
exactly why people choose pet sitters over a kennel, because a kennel or a boarding facility is tasks. They're checking off boxes and making sure these things are happening. But a pet sitter is a whole nother experience, and it's for the cat. I mean, really, it's for the pet. So it's just different.
Yeah, it is. It's that relationship, and it's building that trust with the client too. Because we have to understand they really genuinely love their cat. They want what's best for them, and sometimes they don't know right where to go or what questions to ask. And going, hey, well, I can sure help you with some information.
Yeah.
So from what as the president, and again your past experience here, how do you see our two industries, the veterinary side and the pet sitting side, really advocating for pets, for the next 50 years, for the years to come?
I think would be a huge advantage to have a relationship grow between veterinary industry and the pet sitting industry, because, like you mentioned earlier, cats are becoming more important. The cat ownership is increasing. People are really, pets now are children, they're family members, and they're really important teammates. And the best way to give these animals the longest life is having multiple people involved in their care. And I really think that communication is huge. And I would encourage anybody who's interested in pet sitting to reach out to several veterinary clinics and be a contact for them. But like we talked about, it's also important and your responsibility to make sure you're getting different training so that you are actually, certified in some things to be able to care for these pets in the best way possible. And these things are out there, they're available. And I feel like when you come to the table with credentials and your veterinary team has credentials, right? Like together, that's just so powerful. And I really could see a huge advantage to that. And I mean, for us in our organizations, like we're always putting things out for pet parents and information from the feline VMA side. And like, I would love to put something together for pet sitters. What a great idea to things that they need to know and quick, we call it CE or continuing education for the veterinary side, but something like that, right? That's gives them, these are some great tips and tricks on how to be a great cat sitter.
Yeah, when we look at continuing the industry and fostering these relationships, we have to go, okay, well, where am I starting from? Where am I educated on this? Do I know?
Yeah.
Do I really know, or what don't I know? And having a lot of those, just come from conversations, but going and getting some education, taking some online courses, is really helps get that ball rolling. Because what I've found is that the more we do that, just personally in our own business, the more all of a sudden I'm equipped with tools, language, and ideas that I didn't have before. And now whenever a problem comes or a client's talking to me, it's like, hey, I just read this. Let me tell you.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
And it really does help start that much better conversation. Now they're having a conversation with their vet, and the whole thing just improves for everybody.
Does. And because there's such a source of knowledge. I mean, you're in the industry, and like we all get into these animal careers because we love them ultimately, right? So then it's how can you then even do better and like really help educate pet parents on things? And I mean, you guys are a huge source of knowledge for them. So I think it's we call it imposter syndrome in the veterinary industry, where we like don't feel like we actually know what we're talking about. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way, right? But you have so much experience and just going into these homes and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And that's just so incredibly valuable. But then also knowing like I could do better and I could learn more and get certifications and certificates on how to be a better, caregiver. Huge.
Yeah. Well, speaking of resources, what are some recommended ones that you think more pet sitters should be utilizing?
So I would say for like general care, I mean, the big thing is with the internet, right? You can find the answer to anything that you're looking for. So always trying to find credible resources.
What?
So we have some really great ones through the Feline VMA that is for actual like pet parents and caregivers, and it's catfriendly.com. And it actually has all sorts of information for like doing things, cat care in general at home. It has routine care and grooming and how to be a good caregiver. And these are all really great for you as a pet sitter who's coming into an environment and maybe you know what works for your own pet, but maybe not works for everybody. So getting those really good resources. We also have the Cat Friendly Certificate program that I was telling you about, and that's through catvets.com, where if you go to that, there's a drop-down menu for the cat-friendly programs, and the Cat Friendly Advocate program is the certificate program that I was talking about that goes through basically 4 modules on understanding feline behavior and the veterinary experience and interactions with cats. And that's a huge resource. So those would be 2 big ones for sure that I'd recommend. It's a great starting point.
Yeah. And even, you mentioned, there's some of these sound like they're a little bit more from the veterinary angle, but I think what's really important there is that helps us know, like, when we're speaking with veterinary clinics, like problems that they're facing, or helps, we can provide, like, it really helps complete that circuit of care where you mentioned multiple people around. If I don't understand the things that a veterinary clinic is struggling with or has to struggle with and work through in their work, how am I going to think or expect them to understand the struggles that we go through? And I think that's really important to go, just because it says, oh, it's at catvets.com. Like, no, like, there's still that information is still really invaluable to have access to and to know as you build these relationships and partnerships. Dr. Saffire, I really want to thank you for coming on the show today and for walking us through building these partnerships, these relationships with veterinary care teams and clinics, and how we can help bridge that gap between them, and really the importance of education at the personal level, and making sure that we are working at those high standards, and so that we can give the best care possible, and educate our clients as well. For those who are interested in finding out more information about your association and getting connected, how best can they do that?
Do that through the website. You can sign up and make it yourself an account on the website to get access to the materials. You can become a member. You can become again, you need to go through the CAT certificate program. There's a lot of contact us buttons there too. That's very easy to get a hold of, especially for feline VMA. Yeah, I mean, I'm always happy for anybody to reach out to me too. I would never not respond to somebody who's interested in helping cats out. And like, I can't thank you guys enough for what you do, because I have so many patients that benefit from having somebody take care of them at home, that, like, it's my number one preference for everybody. So we don't have enough of you. So the fact that you guys are out there and want to do more is pretty amazing. So I'm grateful for that, for sure. If you're in Columbus, come and see me.
Okay, we'll do.
Please.
Well, thank you again. It's been so much fun, and I've really appreciated your time and sharing with us today. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
How do we build partnerships for the care of our feline friends and their owners? Through relationships, through trust, and through knowledge. Showing up just one time to show your face and throw some donuts isn't good enough. It's a long-term partnership and relationship that we are looking for. We want people to look to us and know that we are the experts when it comes to pet care, when it comes to cat care. This takes conversations. This takes getting to know the veterinarians that our clients use, so that we become a known entity that they can trust and rely on. Only showing up when there's a problem or when a client has a complaint isn't going to cut it. If we need someone to go to with questions, it should be the vets that our clients are using, that are treating the cats that we're caring for. Those kind of relationships don't start and build overnight. Go in, listen, learn, share. It's a long process, but it's well worth it for both us and our clients. We want to thank today's sponsors, Timed Pet, and our friends at the National Association of Professional Pet Sitters. We also want to thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll be back again soon.